think we are up and running. So
Step 1, make sure the board is plugged in.
Right.
So that's, after, forever on the Great Northern Sexcast here, occasionally just plugging the damn thing in gets right past us because we were distracted by our patriotic toes.
Yes. We both have white feet.
Yes.
And Colleen's got a very lovely red, and I've got a...
tealy blue.
Yeah, kind of metallic. So we decided we had pasty erotic feet. So, and there's probably somebody that has a fetish for that.
Yeah, they're probably. Yeah.
So, like maybe if we took a picture of my left and your right, like a mismatched foot picture, that might turn somebody as crank in a big way.
I'm sure it would. I have no doubts about
with all the shit we've talked about that people are into, for sure.
Honestly, that's something I like fine. Feet perfectly, to me, perfectly reasonable concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you asked me, I had a Facebook post. This actually happened. Yesterday, I got up and we had some rain and some whatever, but I didn't hear radical thunder. And if it happened, it didn't wake me up, or I didn't hear wind or anything else, but a pretty significant limb came off of one of my trees, and it was hindering traffic in the street. So I, being the just smart person that I am.
Yeah, you're going out there.
I put on some shoes and I grabbed some work gloves, forgetting that I was wearing what I sleep in still, which was at that time a pair of my husband's boxer shorts, which are awesome, and that's fine because they cover everything, and a t-shirt. The problem was I didn't have a bra on, and the girls were loose. And I'm trying to pull with these leather gloves. I looked adorable, too. By the way, everything matched. The tennis shoes were pink. It was great. So I'm trying to get this branch, and, I look up, and out of nowhere, there's these two guys. One was on a bike, and then one's this man who literally walks at the same time by my house. For the 20 years I've lived there, I know him, right? They came over and they did it for me, and I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, my boobs are flopping. And then, but the best part is I walk back in the house and my husband is flat as a pancake on the couch. I go, what the hell are you doing? And he said, I'm hiding. He's got tendonitis and he's on crutches. That's why I was out there by myself with my boobs flopping, trying to move the tree limb because he couldn't help me. And he said, I didn't want those guys to see me just sitting here being an asshole, not helping.
But you can come to the door with the crutches. I'm holding. Sorry, I'm gesturing.
You did.
And the mic was way the fuck away because that's what I do.
The whole thing was quite a scene. So I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And then I put it on Facebook and I got some pretty funny responses from it. But
at least it didn't tear the wiring off your house.
That's true. It did not.
I am 14 months into a large branch that fell off my neighbor's tree, tore the wires off my house, cost me a fortune. And then I couldn't get I have a temporary line, phone line, because I still have a landline for certain reasons. But it runs along the ground because the telephone pole is red tagged, so no one will climb it. Yep. So now I had to get a hold of the Public Utilities Commission to poke CenturyLink into replacing this pole. And they went right, and of course, they should have done it last year when there was still a divot and a mess and all that stuff.
Right.
But, it's been red tagged since 2005.
Oh my gosh.
14 years they know this was a piece of crap.
Okay. So
now, of course, my neighbors, a month after they finally get the stump out, get rid of the divot, expand their patio where the big ass tree was, because they took it down. They took down the big tree. Big divot from when the massive when the tree fell. When they took down the big tree. Now CenturyLink comes in and goes right across their 1-month-old perfect sod.
Oh my God. That's a bummer.
And then they wanted to put the pole in their yard. It's 3 feet over from where it was because it's a city block. There's no alley. It's a pain in the ass. Honestly, I understand why they've ignored it for 14 years.
Yeah.
But now Excel has to come and run their lines, and then Comcast has to come and run that. So here's the deal: I have not figured out why I had the world's shittiest service when I had Comcast. They couldn't go up the pole to replace the line. So they kept fobbing it off, saying it's my interior wiring. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
They couldn't go up the pole. They didn't say it was red tagged. Nobody knew. Until this tree goes and just, honestly, what would have been nice if the whole fucking massive tree had gone and taken out my garage. I could have had new cars, new garage. You know what I mean? And then this pole, and if it did that, it would have taken out the pole, and it probably would have pulled down. I mean, because believe me, that's not the only red tag pole in the block. Right. Probably would have pulled several damn things down, and this shit could have been fixed 14 months ago.
Yep.
But now when you're going through that, but then again, I mean, it's the joys. I mean, it's an older neighborhood.
Yep.
And you're not. But it was just Ford, and it's still not done. But I was like, but I have a line, like a little orange line running along my fence and down like 3 houses.
Oh my God. That stuff is...
It's infuriating.
It is.
Absolutely infuriating.
It is. Okay, this isn't the Great Northern Tree cast, but I will say one last thing. My neighbor who's, I mean, she's got to be, if she's probably over 95, but she's at least 95. Bless her heart. And she's still living in her house and, and all this kind of stuff. Mabel, God love her. She's got this walnut tree that's like big, long limbs are like laying on my garage. And I'm just waiting, I suppose if they come off, there's not far to fall, but still it's like, we really need to get that tree cut. And,
Well, if it's on your property, you can cut it as long as it won't damage her tree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going through there. But what's going to happen, though, is if it does fall, and then she'll know about it, and then if something else falls, then your homeowner's insurance will go after her homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
Just
call the tree people, Mabel.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Fix stuff.
Well, speaking of public, utilities, and it's kind of an interesting way we got to this. Mexico has some pretty interesting, shall we say, customs when it comes to being pissed at their politicians. Like, I have never heard this before. So there's residents of this municipality in southern Mexico. They got really pissed off that their mayor did not keep a campaign promise. So they made him wear a dress and paraded him around town for days. Get this. So this is Mayor Javier Jimenez from Huixtan province, walked around in a long dark skirt and frilly white blouse with ruffles and flowery embroidery in front of furious residents of San Andres, Puerto Rico, while one of the other city officials, Luis Ton, was also in a bright pink dress with white polka dots. And their complaints were included but not limited to $158,000 was supposed to be spent on improvements to their water system, among other things. But people would write down different things that they thought that they were doing poorly at, and threw them at them. So drag is a punishment for politicians in Mexico, apparently.
Yeah, I can understand, because that's still probably, if it's a smaller town, just like it would be a smaller town almost anywhere in the in the world, not just Mexico, slightly more traditional values. So I could see where the idea of wearing a dress in some areas would still be considered shameful. It's also a very large, example of misogyny, because really, why should be wearing a skirt and a blouse be a problem? But that's a whole separate conversation.
Well, what it says here is dressing up politicians who disappoint is a traditional and cathartic way in several towns in the state of Chiapas of dressing them down. And often it says politicians are taken by force and dressed up. So, just saying. Conventions. You guys kind of have conventions for the pleasure industry?
Yeah. There are several. Many of the eons and eons ago, the adult movies and toys and stuff like that used to have a little subsection of the CES show, Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. It grew large enough that they have their own shows now. Things get separated. What's his face from Kiss bought like the Adult Video News Awards. Gene Simmons, yeah. And so he's pulled that aside and he does that. And then several of the manufacturers got together, and there are several shows and events that they hold during the year. Okay. So most of it's in California now, and then a lot of the larger distributors will just bring in the store's buyers and just do a small event. At their locations, or sometimes they'll go to something more exciting, like a beautiful place in Vermont and watch the leaves or something.
Oh, cool!
Which would not. Yeah, one of these days, I usually send the buyers. One of these days, I say, "Well, okay, you can take them, but you got to take me."
Yeah,
I haven't. But now that my daughter's older, I'll be able to do. Hopefully, maybe I'll be able to jump in on some of this fun stuff
for sure. Well, different industries, have, conventions, and probably some industries it's a little more appropriate to party than others. So perhaps in your industry, going out and having a good time might be a little more permissible than, say, one of superintendents of schools, public schools, maybe.
There are jobs that do have different standards. I mean, for the most part, honestly, when I go, I might as well be talking about a textbook versus a dildo. To me, it's a thing. It's an object. It's a business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I have no interest. I mean, it's not like we show up all wearing thigh-high boots and fishnets. It doesn't.
No.
It's business.
Right.
But schools and certain things usually do have a slightly higher conduct, or should have standards of conduct.
Well, you be the judge. Let me tell you what happened. Yep. So this was in Texas, and the superintendent of Isleta Independent School District in El Paso, his name is Javier de la Torre, has been suspended from his $314,000 a year job. Wow. For getting hammered and headbutting another superintendent at a fast food restaurant over the course of a convention gathering. And, he said that he didn't do it. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't the aggressor. But, stand by.
It's fascinating. But a couple of drinks will do to someone, more than likely.
Yeah, and then it makes the newspaper. By the way, there's a lot of Florida man stuff out there right now. So just stand by, Florida man. We're
like what? 65% into summer now. It's really getting sort of warm out there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure it's very warm down there. Mm-hmm. So there's a really interesting article that I was reading, and it's a longer one. We will post it for you on the Great Northern Sexcast page, everybody. But it talks about pill popping in the porn industry, and the focus on this one is primarily the male actors and how how the pressure to take Viagra and things like that is mounting, and they are just starting to feel the effects of it, the men, and they're talking about how they have trouble and they have to take it because it's hot or numerous takes or whatever, and they just can't keep a real natural hard on under all of those conditions.
Yeah, I mean the ability to make to have new content because of the 24/7 world of ye old internet stuff. I can understand why you're doing that, but I'm assuming they'll probably, and unfortunately, they'll always find probably someone that's willing to do it, which is why they feel like they have. I mean, the city of Minneapolis is about to have sort of rules and sexual health rules for sex workers. He's going through there, and because sex work is work, and this, honestly, this should probably be covered under OSHA.
Yeah,
it should be appropriate. Believe me, it's not like they still can't make the porn because this stuff didn't exist 20 years ago, and they made the porn, or the adult movies, or the sexual health movies, or whatever word you're comfortable with. I've poked around on some of the sites, and some of it still is just a highly male misogynistic stuff. It's really, little bits and pieces, and I'm like, wow. I doubt, 'cause it's not. I make it a point sometimes if I find something, or I can't look at everything.
Yeah,
but and I've never really been that involved in the movies. But every now and then we just get something in. We go, because it's our stores, and I can just, we can decide what to choose. But the guys really should be, saying no.
Yeah. They talk about, It's just a really good article, and it gets into the real realities that these guys sometimes have to say, you need to replace me, or they get replaced on a day because something just doesn't work. And even the pill, they said, it can do some things, but it can't replace. No. The quote from the article is a dead dick. So kind of interesting. And to get the right shot, the angles or whatever, sometimes these guys, well, and the women as well, are in incredibly uncomfortable positions. Incredibly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I find really fascinating, because I'm just like, do these folks have side jobs of Cirque du Soleil? Because I don't understand how those hips work sometimes.
Yeah.
I find it, really quite fascinating. And I'm just like, And part of me is like, I'm not even, I know, okay, it's been 30 years. I'm a little inured to most visual things. It's just like, oh, I'm looking at it. So, but I'm just like, that's sexy? I mean, but that's me. That, I just...
No. Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry, whoops.
All of a sudden you have a Fred the studio dog next to you.
I almost bopped him in the nose with my Tootsies.
Oh, that's okay. He loves feet. You'll probably get a little fetish kiss here pretty quick. So it's an interesting article. Check it out. Speaking of that, I read this just before I got here today. Okay. I was actually kind of just surfing the general news, and I saw this, and it was a woman who had a night with a male sex doll, and she wrote about the experience, and there's a picture of her like in a shiny satin negligee in bed with the sex doll. And it was a pretty funny article, Colleen, by the way.
Okay.
The sex doll, and she's right, the facial features are feminine looking. The toes jiggled like jelly. They didn't have anything in there. So the toes were a little disconcerting. She said it smelled like rubber and caught every piece of lint and static cling of everything. I
am so glad that some of the materials are getting so much better. A couple of weeks ago, I think I talked about some new dongs and dildos that we had gotten in.
Yeah.
And I was squeezing them, and and there was... You can warm them up. They got a little. They were softer on the outside, a core on the inside, but they looked like they were much easier to clean.
Cool.
Years ago, because they started off with like the latex stuff, which was just a pain in the ass years ago, and everyone's been perfecting things. I mean, honestly, for like 15, 20 years now, and the materials are getting spectacular, and and they're becoming very reasonable priced.
Yeah.
And like that. Oh, we got new vibrators in.
Oh, you did? What'd you get?
It's from the, oh my God, they're steampunk themed. And,
cool.
I'll be posting some pictures. We're doing some stuff. We got them in to have them at Crypticon, which is going to happen in a...
so, like, what do they look like?
Well, they've got, like, they're sort of metallic colors, the ones that I saw, and they've got sort of gears and interesting shapes, molded into them. I just walked by, like, 10 minutes before you got here today. Oh, gosh, okay. And I didn't really have a good look. And so I've asked Tara to take some pictures, but my brain went
for
there.
Sure. Well, speaking of that, a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned on the day that we did the show that I was heading to the Uptown Art Fair here in Minneapolis, and I found a steampunk artist, and I bought the coolest necklace ever. I will have to wear it here, but it's got gears, and part of it is part of the piece has a shell casing in it. It's just really cool. I love steampunk. Might have to have a steampunk dildo. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's Rocks Off. That's the company.
Rocks Off?
Yeah.
Nice name.
Yeah.
This was not a good Rocks Off. Florida man got arrested Saturday after relieving himself in a nightclub's ice machine. He was...
my first jobs were in the restaurant industry. I was a cook. And it was a place called Benjamin's eons and eons and eons ago. And we kept that thing clean way beyond any standards. The managers wanted it clean. The cooks, it was a clean place. So if I would have had to clean up.
Piss in the ice machine?
I'm pretty sure that the guy who was arrested probably would have been punched first by me, the tiniest person in the restaurant.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Because I'm like,
Apparently he was pissed off because security tried to remove him from the club. He actively resisted, and this was what he did to retaliate. He was arrested, charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and oops. They also found a bag of marijuana, which is not legal. And so he...
Not yet. Not in Florida.
No.
No, it's going to be wild. And like I said, I thought maybe we're at a tipping point, but maybe we're at a lull right now for that. But we'll see. I don't know if anything's on the ballot this year at any states. I've been so busy with making sure that the craters in my parking lot get filled, and a new phone system, and weeds at one store, not actual weeds like dandelions and crap, thistles, not marijuana weed. Just daily ordinary stuff that I have not had a chance to just. I mean, sit back, take a look at, I know Tara's got some amazing stuff in, and I know stuff like this, but I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, honestly, I have no idea what's going on in most of the world. I mean, the big stuff, yeah, but like normally I'd pay attention to like, where's weed happening next?
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going through there. Are they doing it through the legislature, through a lawsuit? I mean, it's stuff like that. I'm an American studies major. I do find that sort of fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and, I'm, another aspect to that whole thing that I can't wait to see what's going to happen. We're going to see a showdown between the federal laws and these state laws, because one of the things, and this affects my other life, is that people that work in dispensaries or anywhere, farming and all that kind of stuff.
The banking. Right?
Yeah, banking. Yeah. They will not, in most cases, will not be able to get loans to buy homes, home mortgages, so to speak, because their work is considered a legal activity under federal law that governs banking.
Yeah, and the bankers are going to be looking at this and like, we are missing out.
Yeah.
On a crap ton of fees and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And I think they're going to, a couple more states, they're just going to push. They're going to like, stop this. And so they'll start poking the folks that are holding, meaningful legislation up, because it's going to be about just too much freaking cash.
Yep. By the way, did you know there's an actual place called Dildo? You did? Do you know where it is? What country?
It's in Canada.
Newfoundland. Okay. It is an hour's drive from the town of Come By Chance, just past Spread Eagle Island. Can't make this shit up. But it's a fishing town, and these people refer to themselves very proudly as Dildoians. And
Yeah, I was sent a link just a little bit ago from and I'm like, how, and it was a link from a comedian going, how did they not know this? And I'm thinking, how did you not know this? How did I not know this?
Right.
Until honestly last week.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And then the news things. And so, I looked it up. And if you start poking around, I mean, Newfoundland has some amazing names.
Ass Rock is just further up the coast.
Yeah.
Ass Rock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Minnesota does have Embarrass and Climax and a couple of other things.
Don't we have Keister? I think we have Keister. I think that was an Appropriation H commercial. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So but Dildo, this is spectacular.
That's fantastic.
I mean, how
you have to go there
for 30 years. I have been selling the dildos. How did none of the suppliers? I mean, we have people that are in Canada. They sell to Canada. Yeah. There are dildos in Canada.
Yeah. I think you should
besides the town, which
I think you should cry negligence.
Yeah, I have
on their part.
No idea how I did not know this. So I'm fascinated, which made me start thinking about other names, and then I got distracted and had to do other stuff.
That never happens. Really? Check this out. Victoria's Secret will be unveiling its first openly trans model named Valentina Sampaio. And she posted on her Instagram account, and Victoria's Secret did confirm, and this was just like about a year after one of their executives said that they would never hire a trans person. But how stupid do you have to be?
I'm going to go with that executive's probably not there anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
I really thought I was going to get a doggy snuggle, but he turned his back on me, actually.
Fred.
Oh, well.
Oh, Fred the studio dog. Okay. Angelina Jolie, which quite honestly, I try to ignore because, she's had such a strange run in the media that I don't know what's true and what's not.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen, is she taking like a break or something? Is she not being hired? Is she doing stuff? I mean, maybe
she's just raising all those kids.
Well, yeah, they are. Yeah, that's right. There are a few, and she does a lot of different stuff. She could be living someplace else, and who knows? I mean, the fact that you can make like a fortune putting your name on booze now, for Pete's sake, who knows?
Yeah, yeah. So she's just done a column for Elle apparently, and she did you ever see the movie Maleficent? Where she played the quote unquote wicked witch from Sleeping Beauty.
Nah, I haven't.
It was pretty good, actually. She was interesting in it. She made an argument, though, in a column for Elle that throughout history, the type of women who are said to be wicked or witches were usually just free in mind and body and thus powerful. Therefore, they were considered dangerous. And
actually, any woman who's ever had her own thoughts tends to piss off folks.
Yeah. Well, and that's what her whole column is about. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. And, who knows what makes it into the media and what people are, really like. But she's gotten some really strange press. And so it's hard for me to, take her kind of seriously but this is a very good point.
Honestly, I didn't even, like I said, I forgot that she had done the Elizabeth movie and stuff like that. But she's always been someone who's sort of forged her own path. So that's probably hindered her a bit on certain roles, because
for sure.
I have the feeling she wasn't going to play, that there wasn't going to be a lot of casting couch, for lack of a better term, or this or that. Yeah. And she probably doesn't put up with that. Although, or has never put up with it, and therefore would be considered difficult.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure. So, and I mean, I guess she and Brad Pitt got divorced. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I was
watching an old Friends episode the other day that Brad Pitt was on, and the I Hate Gender, the Rachel Green episode, and I think they were married at the time. And it just, and when I was looking at this stuff, I'm like, everybody here looks so young, because most of these actors are my age.
Yeah.
And I don't think about that, and then so I'll see them young, and then I'll go, oh.
Yeah.
Then I see them now, I go, I am not an old person.
No.
But I am not a young person.
Right. Right.
And technically, I don't know if I'm middle-aged, and I'm pretty sure I'm not living to 108.
Yeah.
So
you could theoretically be in the middle, as am I.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeffrey Epstein died in prison, awaiting trial on just numerous ghastly, horrific charges, and who knows what's going to happen with that investigation now that he's gone. Mm-hmm. And of course, the conspiracy theories are flying.
Oh my God.
That he didn't commit suicide. I just looked at that.
I went, oh. You put it this way: if he didn't commit suicide, he was highly pushed at it.
Yeah.
There's just no way. But I mean, someone like that isn't going to survive very long, especially from what I understand, just regardless of anything. The building and the facility he was in, from what I understand, is just horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, there must have been some serious evidence against him that he wasn't able to finagle his way into some cushier holding cell somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think, So
that's a nasty building.
Yeah. You know what? You could show me the nicest prison on the face of the earth. And quite honestly, I do not ever want to be incarcerated.
No.
For any reason. Mm-hmm. So, that idea, I don't know how people do it. Mm-hmm. At any rate, he's dead. But in other twisted and ghastly news about him, apparently he wanted a couple of strange things. One, he wanted to get a baby making factory to spread his DNA. He also wanted his penis to be frozen after his death. So I wonder if that happened. I'm guessing not. He confided in different scientists that he was planning to impregnate dozens of women. And he wanted to keep up to 20 women pregnant with his children at a given time.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know how that gets creepy? And obviously, have you ever noticed that, someone gets arrested, and then, 3 weeks later, there's another photo of them, and the hair dye is already gone.
Yeah.
Consistently, it's it's the amount of work and the stuff. I mean, people talk about the amount of hair dye and cosmetics and all that sort of stuff that women are using. But these are exceedingly rich guys.
Yeah.
Must spend a fortune and a shitload of their time to look younger than they are.
Yep. So, among some of the other nefarious things he's alleged to have been involved in, he was also suspected of using dinner parties to screen for potential mothers, because he thought that he was going to improve the human race by spreading his DNA. I believe that there are many people who would say...
Do we know? Does he... I have no idea. Does he have Did he ever have any children at all?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. But he wanted his head and his penis to be frozen.
Big head and little head.
So, I don't think so.
No, that's not going to happen anymore.
Okay, this is interesting. Parents of budding teens can supposedly breathe somewhat easier. There's a new study out there saying that adolescent sexting is not an epidemic, but it's also not disappearing. So basically, this is Florida Atlantic University conducted this study. They had about 5,600 students in American middle and high schools between the ages of 12 and 17. So here's the numbers, Colleen. About 14% of those had ever sent a sexually explicit image or received one. Only 14%. So that was a little bit surprising.
I think they are learning. I mean, honestly, ever since, even before my daughter had a phone and friends were over, I'd be yelling down the stairs, the internet is forever. No naked pictures, to the point where they just were rolling their eyes at me. But, I think they get it because they've always grown up with it.
Yeah. So of that 14% of the bigger group, which was 5,600, it goes on to say that about 11% of the students said that they had sent a sext to a boyfriend or girlfriend.
So this is 11% of the 14%, which is only like 10% of 5,600 is 560, and then you add like another 4%, 56. So you're like, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically 1% of the whole lot. Yeah. But now here's the weird thing where I get a little bit lost. So 64% said they did it because they were asked. Well, if 64% were asked, are the same 44% asking more than one person? 40, you know what I'm saying? Or 36, you know what I mean?
Or are they saying, or saying the other percentage of like, so 30 of them did it because they were asked, and 24 of them did it, unsolicited dick pic.
Right.
It's going through there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of interesting.
It's nice to hear that the numbers are smaller. I mean, it still shouldn't happen because it can still get you in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And stuff like that. But it is nice to know that if the numbers aren't, they're not decreasing, but they're not increasing. Is that okay?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and a psych professor at Purdue University in Indiana said, in some ways it's part of sexual exploration in a digital age. A lot of teens do it. It's not a bad kid issue. But like what you just said, it's the ramification can be humongous and so long lasting. Mm-hmm. That's the danger about it. But they said, they're hoping though that letting kids know that a relatively small proportion of their peers do this might be a deterrent. This isn't the norm, guys.
Not everyone's doing it.
Right.
Because that just seems to be, I remember those feelings when you're 12, 13, 14, 15. Mm-hmm. Am I the only one that's not doing this? Am I the only one that is doing this? I mean, either you feel like you're completely left out or the only one doing it. It's just, you're pretty stupid at that time. It's going through there. I mean, your brain's not done.
No.
It's not done for quite a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay. This one is kind of interesting. Judges are starting to get pissed off, and they're, backlash. There's backlash because porn purveyors are overusing copyright lawsuits, according to the courts, and jamming the courts. So,
these are lawyers who are doing this weird ass, the nuisance stuff. They found like this. There was a person here in Minnesota that was doing that. I think he got his license pulled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they, the courts are cracking down on porn vendors that file thousands of lawsuits against people for downloading and trading racy films on home computers using tactics that a judge called high-tech shakedowns. In one case, 2 men were jailed in a scheme that netted $6 million in settlements. And the judges are just like, you know what, you got to stop it. They're making it a business model. Mm-hmm. And so there's 2 companies that make and sell porn are responsible for almost half of the 3,404 copyright lawsuits filed in the U.S. in the first 7 months of this year. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it's important for artists and the people that do the work and all that to control their images and stuff like that. But if you've downloaded 10 minutes of something off of a site and sent it to a friend, you're personally not making any money off of it.
Right.
I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should steal the money, steal the porn, do all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But, if there was a way to, and I don't know enough about the law, but I think there somehow needs to be a way to artists did not make the dollar amount off of that, but the person who did it didn't make any money off of it either.
Right.
So if someone was stealing stuff and making money off of it, that's the person you need to go after.
Right.
Because I know that right now there's a law. Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Something law going through the Senate or the House. I'm not sure. But they might make it easier to, let's say that I share a meme to you, but I didn't get permission from whoever eventually did it. This would be the same thing. You could really go after someone. And in the way that stuff's sharing, there needs to be some sort of common sense. And these lawyers could take this law and go, something like that. But just there's stuff out there. It's not, the unintended consequences of this are too great. Sort of like the SESTA and the other FOSTA laws where it actually was trying to make sex workers safer, but it actually, since it took them off the internet, it put them underground again and made them less safe.
Yep.
And that's the same thing that's going to happen with the supposed copyright. Yes, artists deserve to be paid for their work, but I mean, when I put something on our site, when we share something, I never say it's from me. I give credit where it's due.
Sure.
And there are some articles, if I see something that says without written permission, I don't do it. Mm-hmm. But if it's a random thing or if I'm sharing information, I'm not profiting off of that.
No.
So I'm not quite sure how, the world. And then by the time this gets figured out, there'll be a whole different medium.
Yeah.
So just, don't be an asshole. Don't steal stuff. But if you need to share, within reason, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And there just comes a point where it's like, I'm sorry, but do you remember the FBI warnings that used to be on the video cassettes that you'd rent? It's like, really, the fucking G-men are going to come and arrest me?
Yeah, because I made a copy of Moonstruck for my aunt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, people, do you not have anything else to do? Just saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mario Lopez of Saved by the Bell fame.
Didn't he have a talk show for a while?
I think he did.
Things, or was he a co-host, or
and
show up on E or do something? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I
don't have cable anymore, so I have no idea honestly what's happening in half of the world TV wise.
Well, he very famously, I think he cheated on his wife on their honeymoon or something. I mean, he's just. Oh yeah, and he got caught. And he's famous.
He's famous, and he's sort of famous for sort of being like the boy next door, but cute, right?
Well,
so then you do something stupid like this and just totally screw with your image.
Well, actually, now he's kind of famous for being kind of a jackass like that.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of his thing.
Okay,
so he was. He has apologized for telling a conservative commentator, a gal named Candace Owens, that, quote, it's dangerous and alarming for parents to honor the wishes of young children who identify with a gender other than the one they were born as. And here's what he said, quote, the comments I made were ignorant and insensitive, and I now have a deeper understanding of how hurtful they were. And he's on Extra, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And he said, I've been and always will be an ardent supporter of the LGBTQ community, and I'm going to use this opportunity to better educate myself, et cetera, et cetera. And
I think you got all the words right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty good apology.
People are allowed. Okay, there should be some things that that you shouldn't be stupid about, stuff like that. I mean, honestly, but for the most part, if someone looks at something else, he said, "Oh, I fucked up."
Yeah.
And then you see how they, what have they done in the past? How are they going forward? I mean, this immediate, complete shunning by someone, I mean, because of a gaffe. I mean, I'd like to know who in the world is perfect out there.
Yeah.
I mean, some things like, the story earlier, that guy's pretty good. You can just put him over there. Yeah, he was never convicted, but let's just put him over there.
Yeah.
But saying something ignorant and then learning from it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, in some ways, I think, we're not forgiving enough as a society. I really do.
Yeah, and sometimes we're asking the wrong people to be forgiving. Some people have just always are the ones that are like having to like let it go. And and I think that it's okay to let other people. He's like, you can hold on to this one. It's your turn to suck it up.
Yep, I agree. I agree. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for today. But it's good to see you. Maybe I think we're gonna have to take a foot picture and put it up.
We'll do that.
Let's do
like
that.
I said, I've got the new vibrators. We'll get some pictures. And like I said, if we don't get it on the Great Northern Sex Cast page, it's always on the Fantasy Gifts, Minnesota, pages. And there's a lot of different places you can listen to us, but if you go to Spreaker, it would be great. I mean, if you can leave comments there, and you can follow and do all sorts of stuff and a bunch of different stuff. I know people are listening.
Yeah,
I see the numbers.
Stats. Yeah.
So, but feel free to, so thank you everyone. But feel free to subscribe and do all those other fun things, because then I'll have a little bit better idea of, what you might want to hear about.
You bet.
Because I found a whole bunch of sites and we're going to be digging into them.
You bet. All right, Colleen. Well, we'll be back at you next week.